Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Ganganapate Namaha. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwaraha. Guru Deva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sarva Mangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanyatrambake Devi Narayani Namostute. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Radha Krishnaya Namo Namaha. Shri Uma Maheshwara Swamine Namaha. Shri Hanumate Namaha. Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 10th of February 2026. I want to offer prostrations, Anantakoti Namaskar, Anantakoti Pradikshana, Anantakoti prostrations, Anantakoti Pushparpanam, divine flowers offered at the feet of all the great sages and at the feet of Paramatma, Bhagavad Tattva, Bhagavan. To continue from yesterday, I want to spend at least today to make sure we are clear about abhayam, fearlessness. We talked about this a little bit yesterday about not having fear in the spiritual path. People have all kinds of fears for so many things, right? As we mentioned yesterday. But our goal, as per Bhagavan Krishna, as per the Gita, because that is our base adhyatmic scripture, the goal is a continuous state, continuous life where fear has completely disappeared. Right. Nobody wants fear. Fear is a very unpleasant emotion. Now, of course, it does have a purpose for protection. There is a purpose behind all the emotions. So to some extent, that emotion may be necessary to avoid damage, to deal with dangerous situations, things like that. Yes. Up to that extent is okay. But then that's not the kind of fear we're talking about. That just motivates an individual for protection. Right? But fearlessness, abhayam, chapter 16, verse number 1, Bhagavad Gita. We want to move into that domain, into that dimension, into that life of total fearlessness. And what is the greatest fear in life? It is the fear of death, that I'm not going to exist anymore. This is the biggest fear. And then from that, all the other branches of fear come about. So I want to clarify a couple of points that were made yesterday, just so that we are clear. In the Sanatan Dharma, there is so much development at all levels of reality. So for example, many of you are familiar with what is called Jyotish Shastra, the astrological chart readings that are done by people who are aware of that, knowledgeable in that. Is that a science? Is that something just total nonsense, or is that actually valid? Well, it depends on the study, depends on so many factors, depends on those who have properly been trained in that. But it raises a lot of questions, right? Is our fate just already predetermined by the cosmos? Do we not have free will? If everything is already predetermined, pre-written, then our freedom would not be there. So it's very interesting. There's no doubt that the arrangement in the cosmos and the influence of the planets on each other, galaxies on each other, all of reality, and then on us, we're also part of that. The fact of the matter is that the entire Brahmand is one being. This is the real thing to understand. And then, this science of or quote, science of astrology, whether Western or Eastern astrology or fortune telling or all those kinds of things that are there, they have certain basis behind it also. It's not total nonsense. It has basis behind it. And then there are some individuals who know how to change some of the influences on the chakras by different kinds of these stones and rings, and even mantras are like that too, right? Mantras are what? Veda mantra is, or Veda mantra, when you speak Veda mantra, it changes your experience in life. The experience of the body, the changes of the mind. It's within Maya. Understand, the Vedas are inside Maya. be very clear. They're within Sattva Gun, Rajogun, Tamogun. They're not beyond Maya, but they are within Maya. Traigunya Vishaya Veda. Bhagavan Krishna says it clearly in the Gita that the Atharva Ved, the Rug Ved, Samved, Yajur Ved, all 4 Vedas are within Maya. They're not beyond Maya. But the end portion of the Vedas are beyond Maya. That is called Vedanta. That's the Upanishads. So even this should be clear, because people don't know all this thing. We say we believe in the Vedas. Of course. We believe in the Vedas because the Veda Mantra, if you go into the Veda Mantra, for example, Shri Suktam, which we do every Friday, 15 times, it's a Veda Mantra. It's a very sattvic and divine mantra, Divya Mantra hai. But is it within Maya? Absolutely. It is not beyond Maya. It is 100% in Maya. But at the same time, by going into any Veda Mantra deeper, it will lead into Vedanta. It will open the door into Vedanta. Vedanta. So, mantras, they all begin, most of the Veda, all the Veda mantras begin at the realm of Maya because we are in Maya. Actually, the sound that is in the Veda mantra, wo Bhagwan hi hai. Because Maya is also God's power. This is a little bit of a deeper understanding of all of these sciences. See, when the evolution of the universe has come about, that is all the evolution of Maya's power. But that is, God's presence is there. Now, why do we say it is in the Maya? For example, take Shri Suktam, right? Om Hiranyavarnam Harinim Suvarnarajatasrajam, right? We do this every Friday. How can you say that is in Maya? Because it will change the Jagrat Avastha, waking Avastha, Sapna Avastha, Anubhav. This is the real answer. So the experience that we are having right now in our waking state, we're seeing the world outside, we have certain family members, we have this body, we are breathing, we have emotional experience, etc. It is all been created by Paramatma for the Jivatma through the cosmos. I hope this is clear. The entire cosmos exists for each Jivatma, to give experience to each Jivatma. It is a technology, which you can only, the great yogis in Samadhi get glimpses of what that is, or Ishvaras. They know. Nobody else knows the full extent of it. So the experience we have right now with this body, with our friends, our family, our experiences, the experiences we have, we have our desires, we have our emotions, we want Ichha Shakti, Gnan Shakti, we want experiences, material level experiences. That happens because Bhagwan has created the Brahmand out of Ved mantras, and for each Jivatma to experience Maya. So, for example, when we say Jyotish Shastra and these rings that people wear and stones and all that, if it's done through a very knowledgeable, enlightened person, there are mantras behind that also. Jyotish ke mantra bhi hai, bahut hai. That is about the cosmic arrangements and its intersection with our subtle body, causal body, the time and place of birth and all that. All of that is part of Maya. Absolutely it is. And there's a science. Science meaning it's not the kind of science we think about. It is based on study of astronomical phenomena, the way that the body is created, when it is created, and then on that basis there is observation, inference, there is accumulated knowledge, there is precise astronomical calculations, there's all kinds of things. There's repeatable mathematical rules, testable correlations. It's very intense. Planetary notions, eclipses, solar and lunar cycles, timekeeping, spherical astronomy, trigonometry is in there. There are texts like Surya Siddhanta and Arya Arya something here. Arya, Aryabhatiya, Arya Bhatia, something like that. There's so many texts. It's a very intense knowledge about the cosmic arrangements. But remember, fear has to go. Even if you go into all this, you wear stones or wear these malas or wear these different rings or wear whatever it might be, whoever somebody has given that or who knows about that, the person should be of high character, should also be doing upasana, should not have any selfish motive. They should really be enlightened in that. It's just like a doctor. For example, when we go to a doctor, and this is at the relative level, like, don't we go to see our primary care physician? So are we going out of fear? We might be afraid, oh my God, something is wrong, this and that. But we are going to find a solution. So you have to be steady. Even if there's a problem in the physical body, be steady. Don't get wound up, unnecessarily. Whatever is going on, it will take care of itself in one way or another. Take the right steps. So at the relative level, there are doctors, there are therapists, there are lawyers, there are teachers, everything is there. Fearlessness doesn't mean everything is just meaningless. So I wanted to clarify that from yesterday, because that's not what that means. People wear different kinds of ornaments and these rings and malas and doras and all kinds of things out of fear. Something will happen to me. Somebody did this to me. Something that will happen to me. Nothing can happen to anybody if the two things are needed. One is absolute ashraya, connection with one's ishta. Total, 100% through one's mala. If you have Guru Parampara, fantastic. And we can take help from doctors. We can take help from teachers. We need guidance in life. We can take spiritual help. That's why many of the pujas are done. In most of the mandir mein jo puja hoti, it has to do with fixing damage in life actually. It's a medicine. Why Vishnu Sahasranam is done? People want good quality life. People sitting for Vishnu Sahasranam or Satyanarayan Puja or this katha or that havan. How many people are saying, I want Atyantika Mukti and I want to be an enlightened saint? Is anybody sitting like that? Who is sitting like that? Show me, I'll bow down to them. 100 prostrations Sachin will do right away. If one person is sitting like that even, in any havan, pujan or anything, they're wanting to resolve their issues in life. And not only that, they want better quality life. Isn't this true? Am I wrong about that? If I'm wrong, you tell me. I'm happy to hear from everybody. Who is sitting at a havan or a pujan or any aradhana saying, you know what, I want only final Brahma Gyan chahiye, bas, isliye puja kar rahe. Is anybody sitting like that? Who is that? Show even one person. Maybe some saints, some renunciate saints, even they may not be. Who knows? So that is a different matter, right? So we are living in this sansar with all the problems and agitations and headaches and everything else inside the sansar. This is why Ved mantras are there. All 4 Vedas, and you have to have Pandits who are trained in that. They spend 10 years, 15 years, 20 years studying the mantras, repeating them. Wo siddha ho jate hai isme. And then they are to do seva with that. That is a seva for the benefit of others. And when people listen to them, eventually the preparation is there for Vedanta, is what we are talking about here. And Vedanta is Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad and Brahma Sutra. And then all the different commentaries, Vachanamrut and everything else. Shankaracharya, all the things that we talk about, this is all Vedanta. I hope this is clear, because if it's not clear, please ask about it. Everything in the relative level has its place. See, we talk about 3 gunas of Maya. Rajogun, for example. Obviously, Rajogun is real. It's not something illusion. It's not something fake. It has its own experience. It has its own power. How does it feel? For example, those who are married, you know about this. The day you got married, try to remember what it felt like. The day you were, then after marriage and everything, then you've gone for your honeymoon. Now you're just with your husband or wife and you're just together, and now the intimacy begins. How does that feel? Then you get into touching each other and kissing each other. I don't want to describe it too much. You understand what I'm talking about. This is Rajogun. Is that not real? Is that not what people want? Obviously. Who is this? Somebody getting married to say, I want to get married to you so that you can lead me to the path of liberation to realize Narayan. I want to know one person who has ever said that. Maybe there are people, but we have not met anybody yet. People are getting involved with each other because of Rajogun, because of Vasanas, because they want something from somebody else. Who's getting married to another person out of absolute love? Maybe. There could be. Absolute means not wanting anything from the other person. Is it possible? We always want something from somebody. I'm doing this for you, you do something for me. I want something from you. But when I say I only want you because of love, that is different. Isn't there anybody like that? There might be some. Who knows? Human ego is always present in all this mess. This is why the three gunas of Maya are there. That is what they're there for. And the Veda mantras are about giving the best experience in the three gunas of Maya. And so are the Shakti mantras. Shiv Shakti ke jo mantra hai, they can give experiences in the three gunas of Maya. Particularly, have you ever heard of any asur? You know, somebody who's an asura, like doing tapasya on Vishnu Bhagavan? You never hear that. They do tapasya on Brahmaji and Shivji or Devi. They don't do it on Vishnu because Vishnu is not going to give them blessings for any asuri sadhana. That track is different. You see, so Bhagwan Shankar gives वो उनकी उपासना करेंगे, सात्विक उपासना, राजसिक, तामसिक, निर्गुण, any upasana you will get the fruit of that. What about if you start doing rajoguni, tamoguni upasana with Bhagwan Vishnu? He will direct you to Shivji. आप कर ही नहीं सकेंगे वो. Have you ever heard even one incident? Find it, show me. Anybody doing tapasya in a way to increase anger, to increase negativity, to increase that is done. That kind of upasana asuras have done. They wanted immortality, they wanted siddhis, they wanted powers, they wanted this. Or Bhagwan Shankar ki upasana mein se ye mil sakta hai. Think about it. And then eventually you get that, and then that same thing destroys the person. वो भगवान है, he's not going to, वो तो you get the fruit of sadhana. और किसकी साधना कर रहे हैं, in which way we're doing the sadhana, it makes all the difference. It makes, people are doing Bhairav upasana. But what is the purpose of doing Bhairav upasana? Om Bhairavaya Namaha. So many people are in Sanatana Dharma today. Now it's become more popular. What is the purpose? Is the purpose for betterment of oneself, to help others? Or is the purpose to hurt somebody? To think about it. This has to do with the intention of Shiv Shakti Upasana. People can do with the intention of hurting others. If they do serious sadhana, it's not that they can hurt somebody like that, but that power generates because it's part of Maya. In the Sanatana Dharma, how many stories are there of rishis giving shrap to somebody? Shrap meaning that they make a sankalpa and the person, it happens that way. It can happen, definitely. After a certain amount of energy increases within, and the person speaks something negative should happen, it can happen. Definitely, there is a spiritual power. वो भगवान की एक शक्ति है. But the sadhak doesn't have the saintliness inside. That should not have. See, this is why in adhyatmic path, saintliness, sadhuta, किसी का भी अहित नहीं चिंतना. Even if somebody criticizes us, hurts us, does anything, wish well for that person. That is the greatest Shakti. There's no other Shakti than that. People are saying, even the power to create universes, kitni badi Shakti hai. Is that greater or pure saintliness? Sant ki jo vritti hai, that is billion times greater than the power to create millions of universes. Think about it. Think about these things. We don't realize. And when we want to move into internally, abhayam means completely. Bhagwan Krishna is describing in chapter 16 verse 1. Look it up. He's listing the divine qualities. And what is the first quality he lists? The very first one, which is the one that absolutely we all need. And that is abhayam. That is the first word of the 16th verse. 16th chapter, verse number 1, and the first word is abhayam. It is the foundation. It is inner clarity. It's amazing. It's courage, stability. If you go to any Hindu mandir, Sanatan Dharma ke jitne mandir hai, jitne devta hai, whichever avatars are there, with their right hand you will find this mudra, Abhaya mudra. Is it true or not? The only exception to the right hand is in Swaminarayan temples. Bhagwan Swaminarayan used to give Ashirwad with the left hand. There's some history behind that. I won't go into that right now. It means the same thing. But the Ashirwad is given with an open palm Ashirwad. That means Abhayam. Don't be afraid. You've come to me, Bhagwan ke paas hum jate, you don't be afraid. Let the fear go. Yes, if we need to go to doctors, we go to doctors. If we need to see some really enlightened people who know about these stones and rings and the certain, yeah, it's sure, why not? But not out of fear. There might be pain, there might be suffering. They can help in that. Bhagwan ki sab shakti hai. You know, but not to be bound up in all those things. You know, see, like a doctor gives medicines, right? But that Shakti comes from Paramatma only. But that Shakti is within the relative level of the world. We do Purusha Sukta, Shri Sukta, Havan Karte. It's at the relative level. Sachin does it also. We do Siddha Kunjika Sotram and all that. It is at the relative level and at the absolute level. Both, at both levels. For why we do that? For prarthana, for goodness of others, for helping others. What is the intention behind? Like a doctor has the authority to prescribe medicine. The person is licensed, and you have trust, you have faith that the person is not going to give the wrong medicine. They can put some wrong medicine and kill somebody also. Is it true or not? Think about it. इसमें विश्वास होना चाहिए कि किसके पास क्या हम कर रहे हैं. You just don't go to any doctor. You say, is the person licensed? What is the practice? You look up the reviews, how much patients they've seen, what is their success rate. You just go to anybody who just puts MD after their name and says, yeah, I'll give you any darn thing. ऐसा चलता है? It doesn't work like that. This is also true for the realization of the Atman and Paramatma. Sat Guru. बड़े-बड़े जो संत हैं, who have realized, who are enlightened, they have anubhav of Atman and Brahman. And because of their anubhav, we go to them, they are in total sadhuta, saintliness, sant ke gun. How many are there? Infinite. But there's categorization, 64 qualities. I always mention this. Bas, is par dhyan rakhna. These 64 qualities were explained by Bhagavan Shri Swaminarayan to his mother at the age of 10. Before he had left the home and gone into the forest. This is a long story. There's Nilkand Varani. 64 qualities are there of saints that were listed. Chosat Lakshan. That is such a being is a doorway into Parama Mukti, into the abode of God. Other gurus are there, other teachers, other things are there in this sansar. We need all that. It's not like we don't need our mother, our father, our teachers. There so many are there in the world, in the relative world. But not to be afraid. Like, for example, we know sometimes people go into a classroom. Now a person has gone college admission. They're going into the new domain of study. Sometimes there's apprehension, fear. It could be. Bhagwan ka mantra karna, himmat rakhna, and go on. Things like this happen, isn't it so? That's the way life is. Life is evolving. Something old gets diminished or destroyed, or you have to go beyond the old into the new. That's the way it goes. So the point here, I just wanted to take an extra day here on this to be very clear. Fearlessness is the foundation of living a full, beautiful, evolved life. But fear, for protection purposes, has a purpose. When you're driving a car, you have to drive defensively. You cannot, somebody cuts you off, you're going to have a reaction. That reaction has to be there. So this should not be misunderstood. The problem here is that it's not a problem, but because of limited time, I don't have 10 hours to explain every concept. So it has to be explained clearly, but there should not be a misunderstanding. That is Sachin's prarthana to all of you, online as well as later on. If there's even the slightest question, misunderstanding, or anything you want to have some perspective on this, share it with the group, ask me about it, we'll figure it out and we'll get the right answers. That will keep the path going in the right direction. Otherwise, fear-based religion. Fear-based, so many things are fear-based. Even people go to work, right? They go to work because they're afraid. They're afraid that if I lose my income, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if that happens? They have to be respectful to their boss because of fear. They have to do their job because of fear. Fear is the motivation, rather than seva, rather than devotion, rather than enjoyment of the work, rather than karma yoga. See? So fear, to eliminate that. Now the question will become, how do we eliminate the fear? This is where the Shantarati, the Shantaras that we've been talking about, it connects right into that. Man mein shanti aati hi nahi unless there is fearlessness. How will there be peace of mind? Impossible. The peace of mind will not be there. So how? The question is, how do we reach abhayam? Sri Krishna ka shabd hai. Unka shabd hai. So, many sadhanas are there. One very basic sadhana. Mandir mein jaane ki sadhana. When we enter into mandir, of course, home is also mandir. Home, not just a mandir in the home. That's fine. That's a beginning. Ghar ko hi mandir bana dena. If possible. And that doesn't mean you're putting God's pictures everywhere. I mean, I have it here like that for some purpose like that. But, hamari vritti aisi honi chahiye. Ghar mandir hi hai. Not only that, that's fine. ये शरीर भी मंदिर है. This body भगवान का मंदिर है. Mind, अंतःकरण भगवान का मंदिर है. शक्ति है, the energy is inside, that is the flame of consciousness. मंदिर की वृत्ति, सब जगह मंदिर ही है. भगवान का मंदिर ही है. Nothing else is there. Could be anywhere we go. Go into a park, go into a mall, go into a restaurant, go with family, go with friends. Wherever we go, wherever we are, there is the presence of Paramatma, Bhagwan ka presence continuously hai. That is our goal. But how do we reach that? And because then there's no fear. The fear is gone. We start with the physical temples that are near our homes. That's why the rishis created. There were no temples before. There were only ashrams. The mandir system came later on. Because we need a doorway to reach that sthiti. Mandiro mein jana. They have fantastic divine vibration. Mantras are chanted. Bhakti atmosphere is there. Pujan is going on. Seva bhav is there. It's all been set up for thousands of years. So the first step is to enter into temple. Temple is a Western word. We use the word mandir or devalaya. Different temple words are used. You go inside there. But when we are touching the steps, because you do not enter the temple without touching the steps. Every temple has steps. There's not a single temple that doesn't have steps. So you have to touch with the right hand, the steps, each step, place the dust on the forehead and say the mantra, Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Namah Shivaya, Hanumate Namaha, koi bhi Bhagwan ka naam lena. With the bhav that this is the dust of all the holy dust from the feet of all the devotees. That bhav has to be there. Bhav ki baat hai ye. And then from that, the moment you touch the first step, I'm fearless. Koi bhai bhi kuch, no tension, no fear, no worry, nothing. This bhakta, this atma is at the feet of Paramatma. Kiska bhai rakhna? The first step of a mandir makes you fearless. That is why mandirs are there. See, this is how to do the sadhana. It's not just a sadhana, it is an internal great faith, Shraddha. And that Shraddha in Paramatma is one. The forms, the mandir that we have, beautiful vigrahas are there, sannidhis are there, beautiful. Kitni Shraddha honi chahiye isme. It has to do with Shraddha. Shraddhavan labate jnanam, right? So the Shraddha opens from inside. It's an internal Shraddha. Take some time. Don't just go into the temple and as if somebody's running after us, Spend 5 minutes at the steps. It seems like a long time. Has anybody done that before? Stand at the very first. Do it when there's not rush. Go when hardly anybody's there during the weekdays usually. Because it's kind of, but somebody might be saying, why are you standing here for like 5 minutes? So you might get self-conscious. And nobody will say that actually. Take this mala with you. Take the, stand it at the bottom and with the first step. And sparsh karna. Om Namo Narayanaya. And stand and do one full mala. And bring the mind into abhayam. How? Hey Prabhu, you are handling everything. There's no fear, there's no anger, there's no negativity. It's all gone. Main mukta hu. I am a divine being coming at your feet. At the first step of the temple, stand there on the side. Touch karna. Kiska mandir hai? Mahima. It is called Mahima. People go to the White House, right? Oh my God, I went to the White House and I got to, if you may go on a tour, but if you get to meet a staffer, so I met a White House staffer, they give you, oh my God, I got to meet the Deputy Chief of Staff. I got to meet this person. I got to meet the President. Oh my God, we are so excited about President ki kya level hai? Kuch bhi nahi compared to Ganesha. Compared to Shiva. Unke kuch level hai? We're so attracted by all this worldly stuff. I got a chance to see Narendra Modi. Fine, respect karo sabko. Are we so excited to say, I got a chance to see Sri Krishna? Who's excited about that? You say, theek hai, mandir hai, some murtis, there's some puja archana, do some namaskar here, as if we are doing some great obligation on God. This is the ridiculous attitude people have. That's the wrong attitude. Our Sanatan Dharma, the so-called Hindu community, needs to wake up to all of this. And if we don't wake up to it, then again, the drowning in Maya only. How do we wake up? Stand at the steps of the mandir. Mandir ka mahima hona chahiye. Go as a family. Spend 2 hours in the mandir. Do sadhana in the mandir. Pradikshana karna. Bhagwan ka bahut prem se darshan karna. Take some headphones with you. Listen to 21 bhajans. It's a connection. Don't we go into the Christiana mall? Don't we go into the Christiana mall, the different malls, and now we're going to take 5,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees and spend 3 hours in the mall. We'll have breakfast here, or we'll have lunch here, we'll have ice cream here, we'll have this. We have all this thing planned out for our own enjoyments. Why is that not done in the mandir? Why can't a family say, we are going together to spend 2 hours to see the Lord, to see Bhagwan ka darshan karna? My God, if you got an invitation from the President of the United States or President of Russia or President of India and says, you are specially invited to come here to see me, you'll be like flying on cloud 9. My God, my God. और भगवान का इन्विटेशन नहीं है, भगवान का दर्शन कर, हमारे अंतर में महिमा ही नहीं है. किसके मन में महिमा है? What महिमा we have? We treat these temples as if like third class places. We don't say that. We treat it that way. As if they're some bakwas baat hai. This is the attitude of so many. How Sanatan Dharma can progress? How we can progress? How anybody can progress? Mahima nahi hai iska. So to open Mahima means glory, greatness. Kitni shraddha se जाओगे क्या चमत्कार होगा. The magic that happens in this is unexplainable. At the first step of the mandir, take the shoes off, and stand in front of the first step for 1 hour. Aur karo sadhana. Bring it inside. Ki main kaun hu? I am a particle of dust at the feet of these dust particles. I am a particle of dust at the feet of those dust particles. Trunadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishtuna amani namanedena kirtaniya sadar. This is internal aham shunya bhav before entering inside. किसके दरबार में जा रहे, किसको मिलने जा रहे? This is why satsang is necessary. There's no question of fear. What fear? Fear of who? That's why Sri Krishna says, you come to me. You don't worry about anything else. You come directly to me. I'll take care of everything. I can show you the verses. These verses are available. Kitne verses? Mai buddhim niveshaya. Verse after verse after verse is there. It's not just verses in the book. It is the opening of that intense bhakti, and through Shraddha that this is real, this is true, Bhagwan Sakshat hai. When we then enter into the mandir, जब दर्शन करते गणेश जी का, कार्तिक स्वामी का, शिव जी का, देवी का, माता जी का, कृष्ण भगवान का दर्शन, what is the भाव inside? किसका दर्शन हो रहा है? Remove from the mind, like for example, we have Mahalakshmi ji ka mandir hai yahan. Remove from the mind, I'm in Delaware, United States. Get all that thing out. Bhagwan Swaminarayan calls this anirdesh. As soon as we enter into the mandir, we are not in this physical world anymore. We are, but we are not. We are in the abode of God. Bhagwan ke dham mein hai. Aisa bhav. See the internal baat. This is not about somebody judging from externalities. And if we keep external bhav and lose this bhav, it is called in Gujarati Vyavaharika bhav. It just becomes like, okay, thoda gaya, some entertainment, to have some prasad, this and that. If we feel like we did something amazing. Like if God is obligated to come in front of us and start dancing in front of us. Kitna ahankar hai jeev mein. Such ridiculous nonsense goes on. Ahankar is there. That I have gone to the temple. I went to the temple. Never even use that expression, I went to the temple. Bhagwan ki krupa se mandir mein pravesh mila hai. By His grace, we have been able to go inside. We use the word I. Where did you go? I went to the temple. We may say that, but that's not. Watch the I. The ahankar is always trying to grab hold of everything. Who are that I doesn't have any place over there. This is how abhayam, this is the mandir ki sadhana. To enter into the mandir. Kaise enter karna? With what bhav to enter? Kiska darshan kar rahe? And then to spend 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Don't rush. Darshan means take your time. You have to see the tattva internally. That's why bhajans, scriptures has to be flowing inside. That is called darshan. Or Bhagwan ka jo murti hai, the murti that is present is teaching us. See the murti carefully with the bhav and faith that this ye Paramatma Swayam hai. Get rid of the notion that this is a murti or a stone or a painting. That has to go. We'll talk about that. We talked sometime in the past about it. There's 8 forms of murti for as per Srimad Bhagavatam. And the 9th murti is the enlightened saint. We'll talk about that. We'll get to that later on. That is referenced in Garada, Madhya numbers. I think it's Garada Pratham 68 or Madhya 60. Pratham 68. This is how the inner evolution where abhayam. Again, the words, chapter 16, first verse, first word. This is our sadhana from yesterday and from today. Abhayam. Abhayam. Do not have even the slightest fear. There's no fear of death. There's no fear of what's going to happen. We do our duty. If the issues and difficulties there, take the right help from wherever is necessary. वो भी भगवान की कृपा से ही. It's like you go to see a doctor, you go to see somebody, whatever. That is also God's power. It's not separate from God's power. भगवान की ही शक्ति है. It's अपराविद्या. It's not anything different. A medical clinic is also a temple. A home is also a temple. Going to the mall is also a temple. Going to a movie theater is also a temple. If you know how to see that. If Shankaracharya ji is sitting next to you to watch a movie at the Christiana Cinemark, Star Wars. Let's imagine Shankaracharya is sitting next to you watching Star Wars or some science fiction. What does he see? He sees what you see, but he sees it in a totally different light. That is Adhyatma. That is the highest. But we have to start with the physical temples that we have. वहाँ से चालू करना पड़ेगा to get to that point. The ordinary human being is not going to be able to sit inside a movie theater and be like Shankaracharya ji. But to be like that, start with the regular mandirs. Go to the mandirs for sab sadhana honi chahiye, par internal realization has to happen, and then you go anywhere, mandir hi hai. You can see Maya, we can see the three gunas of Maya, you can see the Brahma Tattva, you can see the entire structure of Maya can be seen right away. Maya ka swarup hum dekh sakte hain. No, it's not a criticism, it's a play, it's a LEELA. It's very difficult to describe. Antarkaran ki baat hai ye. Then what fear? In fact, fear goes away, LEELA begins. There's no new karma accumulated at all. None. 24 hours is LEELA. Bhagwan ke jo bhakta hai, by the grace of Paramatma, the action of each bhakta becomes LEELA. That is RAS LEELA. Now you see the connection with the word RAS LEELA. What that RAS LEELA we'll be talking about later on. What RAS LEELA is actually. That every single activity in our life becomes RAS LEELA. We say Bhagwan Krishna is doing LEELA, the gopis are also doing LEELA. LEELA is unbounded action, amorous, loving, beautiful. That is called LEELA. Because Krishna ke saath connection hai, he's beyond Maya. The gopis are in love with Sri Krishna, and each and every activity is also unbounded karma. They're not accumulating any new karma. They are also doing LEELA. We don't think about it. We say Krishna Bhagwan ne LEELA ki. Has anybody ever said Gopiyon ne LEELA ki? We don't say that, but that's true. Most people don't say. They say Krishna LEELA, RAS LEELA. We think of Sri Krishna dancing. But who's dancing with him? What is that dance? That is activity. It's activity in the three avasthas. It is a dance, meaning it is a movement, a synchronized movement with God. That is called the dance. When we are acting and each and every action is moving in connoissance with Bhagavan, that is called dance. We may not be dancing with sticks and all that. We're just walking somewhere, and that is also LEELA. That is also RAS LEELA. Because it is in communion with, connection with Bhagavat Tattva. So then the action that is performed in that communion is called LEELA. We'll talk more about it as we progress further. I hope these points are clear. If you have any questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you. Let me just do the closing mantra, then we'll stop. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurumedeva Sarvakarishu Sarvadam Ganganapate Namaha Om Shri Radha Krishnaya Namo Namaha Om Rim Swaha.